your face. What may not like it? In your face, in your face, in your face, in your face. In your face, Island vibes, we bring it through to light night. Turn up the sound, let the people unite. From the heart, the PF, we speaking it clear. Real talk, real change in your face, we in your face. We say bold, no delay. Truth and vibes. In your face. In your face. What may not like it? In your face, in your face, in your face, in your face. In your face, yeah. In your face. In your face. What may not like it? In your face, in your face, in your face, in your face. In your face, yeah. Island vibes, we bring it through to light night. Turn up the sound, let the people unite. From the heart, the PF, we speaking it clear. Real talk, real change in your face, we in your face. We say bold, no delay. Truth and vibes every Saturday. Voices rise, let the whole world hear. We bring the fire in your face, right here. In your face, 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 in your face. We talking life, we talking change, we talk solutions. From the street to leaders, sparking revolution. No filter, no fear, just real conversation. Building up the proof, uplift the nation. Ideas flow like the ocean tide. Different views, but we stand with pride. From young to old, everybody got a say. Tune in, lean in, hear what we can say.
Yeah, and what we are trying with him. Yeah. What's up? Which thing now? Oh. You mean the box? Right. Tell you the truth, I had time. But they don't open on the weekends anyway, so you'll be a Monday thing. We've been dealing with my own business and personal affairs, to be honest. Over the last couple of days. That's why you're on being getting me, because yeah. But hold on there. Present. Yeah, nobody there says you're in the show. Yeah, so yeah, I'm happy Monday, God. The link that you're sending me is from Google. That's the yeah, the link that you're sending me is from Google, so I have to manually I have to manually look them up on Amazon because the ones on Google, of course, they're giving me from different sources. Yeah. But Rodney, if you could forward all the links again, because my phone had get damaged and I had to change my phone. So forward them to me again. I gotta go. I gotta go. Alright. Cool. Oh. Oh.
Oh,
Coming.
can you say something about the Vegas list, please?
EPO.
Howard, you can hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yeah, having some issues with my laptop, so we're just gonna ring it by the phone for now. The journal see want to get some foodies here. So
Would you please
it's
repeat?
gonna be
Could you please repeat? I know you said
I
your
said
laptop is
oh
giving you
yes.
some difficulty.
Yeah, my laptop is giving me some issues right now, but Solo's on now. Yeah. Good afternoon, good evening, Solo. Just so I'm using my phone as well. My phone to navigate through. Where is it?
You sure you're good enough for a navigator to use that device?
Yeah, Solo should be on though. Yeah, he's on. Solo, how you doing, man?
Are we live now?
Yeah, yeah.
No. I wanted to tell you something, so don't go live yet.
Hold on one second, man. Yeah, we're live though.
We live now, right?
Yeah.
All right. I will proceed then.
Yeah, you could hold on one second. Yeah, I got my feedback.
You getting a reverb and you talking of Anya.
I know I gotta take one of these off. So how about that now? Hold on a second.
You need to navigate properly.
1 second. Yeah. Yeah, my laptop is not working right now. So I'm using my phone and the other old laptop. Okay, let's see. I need to remove one of these.
The navigator need a refresher course.
I was just thinking the same, because he would have had all time to work through that to the those technical glitches, and
Yo, this is
seemingly.
a lot.
Yeah, but you're still feeling your way through here now.
Aloma.
I hope it don't be like the government Angola blaming someone for not being able to deliver.
Panya, run the logo or something, man, instead of just walking on the air like this.
Okay, we're good to go.
You sure? Four, 3, 2, 1. Are we on?
Yeah, we are.
All right. Let me say a pleasant good evening to our viewers wherever you are, far and near. Tune in here to another presentation of what we call In Your Face. We'd like to apologize for not having the program for the past couple of weekends. You know, due to the fact that we didn't have the time really, time consuming as they would say. But nevertheless, we are happy to be on the air once again. And I am yours truly, Melo Cello the First. Joining us, we've got the usual host of the program In Your Face. We've got Mr. Harold Ruwan. We say good evening to you, Harold. How are you doing?
Good evening, Selwo. Good evening, colleague Vanya.
Yes,
Good evening to all listeners locally, regionally, and internationally. And I want to add to what Selwo was saying earlier about our apologies, one, for not being able to produce the program over the last few weeks in conjunction with the technical glitches that our producer, director, and navigator was experiencing, which should have been behind the curtains arrangements. And I also apologize to you, the public, for that. And I also want to add that we have been losing quite a bit of our prominent citizens in this island, one reason or the other. And last week, we had a very shocking passing of our legendary radio personality, Mr. Brotherly Leroy Brotherly Richardson.
yeah.
And that really hit us for six. And we had intentions to have the program last week, but we thought that it would have been inappropriate to do so under the circumstances. So we were very aggrieved by the passing of that very prominent radio personality and island's icon. So I will say belated condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of the passing of Mr. Leroy Brotherly Richardson, and also all those other folks who has lost loved ones in recent and past times. So we do hope that God will see you through these hard and difficult times and will help you to get back on even keel after, no doubt, prolonged grief, the loss of their loved ones.
Well, thank you there, Brother Harold, there for your comments. And I really wanted to touch on that, but I was just going to the formalities in terms of the introductions. Yes, I agreed with everything you said there just a while ago, that we were all set and ready to come on air with the program a few Saturdays. And each Saturday something came up that got in the way. And it had to do with one of our guests lost his sister. So we had to take a break there as a result of that. And then we lost legendary, iconic, witty Leroy Brotherly Richardson. And of course, being in the broadcasting fraternity, we had to accept that. So we were grieved over his passing. And I would like to also reach out to his family and friends. A great loss. I would have worked in radio with him. We would have started radio in our earlier years. ZJF, Vanya, you are familiar with that. And we would have worked together. So it's really was a hard pill to swallow, but nevertheless, as they say, such is life. And he'll be greatly missed, and his legacy would always live on because, you know, we know what he has done in the field of broadcasting and journalism. So, you know, may his soul rest in perpetual peace and rise in glory. Mr. Harrigan, good evening to you.
Hey, good evening, guys. After this, you know, my laptop is broken, so I'm just gonna hold on a hand there and it's not seems to be doing very well, but I'm using my phone, navigating my phone. So,
Mr. Harrigan, let me just interrupt. You're coming through rather scratchy at the moment. Not there's no clarity in terms of, you know, I don't know what's wrong, and you're still navigating there. You know, your technical glitches that are being experienced at the moment right now. You're coming through, but not as clear as myself and Mr. Rowan. All right. Had you worked it out, or should we proceed? All right. I guess until he works through that difficulty there. Mr. Rowan, yes, in recent times we have been experiencing a tremendous heat wave on this island. I usually say the heat had reached astronomical proportions. We are not even in summer as yet, but the heat is bearing down on us. Wherever you turn, left, right, and center is the talk. Um, we're in the hurricane season, yes. We are pretty much aware of the fact that cyclones or hurricanes, as they're called, these phenomenons live on are more associated with warmer conditions. So we have to be kind of mindful because these storms over the years have intensified quite a bit. And if we had any gentle reminder, which lingers in our memory, we always remember Hurricane Irma. What's your thoughts, Harold, on the heat wave that we are experiencing?
Well, first of all, let me say, Selwo, you're absolutely correct with the atmospheric conditions that we are currently experiencing. However, I would hasten to say that me, for one, I do not worry with things that are beyond my control, like in the case of atmospheric conditions. I don't pretend to be a weather expert. However, what I could tell you is that under the circumstances, where the 1st of June is the date that has been set out over the years as the opening of our hurricane season, we are to be very mindful of that situation, and we should take every necessary precaution to mitigate, to say the least, against any potential storms that may negatively impact us, so that we will have limited damages to be able to face going forward. So what I can say, however, that figuratively, we have also been experiencing quite a bit of heat as far as current affairs are concerned. And in that situation, it brings to me a grave amount of concern here on this little island. There's no secret to us that about 15 months ago, there was a general election on the 25th and the 26th of February 2025, if I could remember correctly. And that election was won by the Anguilla United Front that succeeded the Anguilla Progressive Movement administration. Since that transition of authority, of which they normally call power, there have been quite a bit of very disturbing situations as far as governance is generally concerned here on this island, in my opinion. Now, we can remember that just recently, maybe about 4 weeks ago, we had the pleasure in our company, the Honorable Deputy Governor, that in essence shared with the general public the proposed civil service reform program
Yes,
that was
yes.
on the table.
True, true.
And I found it to be a very interesting exercise that evening. And I do believe that it was a presentation where those who were to be directly impacted one way or the other was elated to have that program. In particular, where the Honorable Deputy Governor indicated that by May 1st, and you can be reminded, I am sure that he committed to May 1st of 2036, and he did. Now it is evident that May 1st, 2026 has gone, and he had indicated that the public servants will receive compensation for whatever there is in that particular exercise by that date. Needless to say, we are accustomed in the Caribbean, where we say come 10 o'clock, we reach about 10:30, 11 or thereabout. So it's no surprise that when the Deputy Governor issued that date of May 1st, there's no secret, there's no surprise, rather, that we know it will go beyond that date. Now, apart from going beyond that date, I do believe that the people of this little island was very disturbed by the results of that so-called reform. That I learned was done by PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. But I want to say this to you listeners, viewers. It would seem to me that administration of the day has found it very convenient to accuse parties of having produced undesired results of this exercise. And that's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because, in my view, we elected an administration that we thought had the competency to look out at the people of Anguilla best interests. You know, I was further disturbed by a program that Class FM 92.9 described as a special interview with the island's premier, on Friday, June 12, 2026, if I could remember correctly. I listened to that program in part. And I listened to the program in part because when I reach a certain segment or distance within the program, I got a very bad feeling about the leadership of our country. And mark you, I may be wrong. But with her presentation, I found her to be very disingenuous about the advances she made. It seemed to me that, like other government officials, they find it very convenient and necessary to point fingers at other parties or persons and are not prepared to take the blame associated with the office they hold. And that's very unfortunate. As she said, this exercise was started under Angular Progressive Movement Administration in 2023. She further went on to say that the Honorable Deputy Governor's Office / Governor was responsible for the terms of reference relative to this exercise. She also indicated that a consultant, PricewaterhouseCoopers, was not obliged to give the report to the government of Anguilla because the government of Anguilla did not engage the consultant. Ironically, she went on to say that the information that was given to the consultant came from the various departments of government. The question is, did the various departments of government engage PricewaterhouseCoopers? Remember, I want to remind you, before that, she said that the report did not come to the GOA because the GOA did not engage the consultant. But the irony behind her words that's quoted over her mouth, and I wouldn't like to say they are lies, that the information that made a determination of the results of that report came from the various departments of government directly to PricewaterhouseCoopers. If I'm wrong, I humbly apologize, but I don't think I am. The Honorable Premier also went on to speak about the supplementary budget that goes in conjunction with the budget of 2026, that was $631 million. And she said that the supplementary budget drove it up to $657 million. So it gave me the impression that there was a variance of $26 million that the people of Anguilla will have to find to facilitate expenditures in the budgetary arrangements this year. I was informed this morning by the member from District 6, Mr. Hayden Hughes, that the opposition, or the leader of the opposition, wrote to the Speaker of the House of Parliament requesting that an item on the order sheet relative to the proposed purchase of this glorious house in England should be taken off because they only received notice or was granted notice on the other paper less than 24 hours before the meeting, the sixth meeting of the House of Parliament last Monday. If I get him correctly, he said the Speaker of the Parliament obliged to do so. But guess what? Subsequently, he further indicated that the leader of government business till table that item in Parliament. No. If that is correct, I find that is very unfortunate. Because here you got Anguilla in a very iffy situation, for the lack of a better word, whereby we are facing some very challenging eventualities under the circumstances where we have no control because of international shortcomings with regards to the general conduct or misconduct as it is with the big players in the globe. So we are in a inherited situation where we have to be paying what we didn't anticipate. We haven't anticipated. And because of that, we are experiencing some serious challenges here in this island. No. I think I made reference to this situation, example, some time ago. If, for example, one have plans to go on a vacation and the inevitable sets in whereby there are health challenges, are we prepared to continue to go on that vacation, or will we abort that plan to facilitate our medical shortfalls? Saying that, I believe, in my view, that it would be well within reason under the circumstances where we did not anticipate that we would have had this very challenging situation as it relates to the situation regarding the hiking of fuel prices on the world market. And because of that, as I indicated before, our pockets, in particular of the ordinary man, are very challenged. And we are grateful to us, the people, not the government, to us, the people, for the subsidies that we have given ourselves at the pumps in conjunction what we have given ourselves with the consumption of kilowatt hours at the Anguilla Electricity Company. Because the government officials give you the impression, or give us the impression, that they are granting us a favor. How could you give me a favor by giving me some of my own money? That's a question I need to get an answer to. You ain't granting the people of Anguilla no favor. It's an obligation. It's an obligation that you have. It's just like you have a house of kids and you have to provide for them, be it directly or indirectly. So the Anguilla United Front leader was on Class FM, and as far as I'm concerned, should have been better off not going. Should have been better off. And that's my humble opinion. And I will add, because she continuously, instead of standing up and facing the colossal error or errors they have made, she tried to propagate as if the consultant should be blamed, the governor's office / the deputy governor should be blamed, and she should not be accused. Well, what we vote you in office for? To be a clown? And darting around and jumping and lashing a whip and giggling and buying new vehicles and hiking salaries, and that should be accepted by the people at Villa? No, Madam Premier. That ain't gonna happen. And I'm gonna tell you something, I'm gonna put you on notice. I hope, and I hope that you know and understand that if you still decide to come up on the basketball court, our basketball court, tomorrow at 5 p.m., you gotta behave yourself. You have to behave yourself. Because when we the people put to you, you have to come, you have to answer. You ain't no boss here. You're the servant of the people of this country. You're not a boss. And we ain't gonna fill up no 3 papers to be able to ask questions there. We're gonna be asking them off our feet. And you better come good. You hear what I say? No. She made reference, I'll go back a bit about the fuel surcharge. And I have to lament on this because I know it grossly impacts we the people at Anguilla. And let me tell you something. She made a statement there, and I think that what they are planning to do to leave the people stranded with the subsidies of their own monies, irrespective to if this situation worsens or not. Because she made a statement to say that we can't go on forever. Okay, no problem. You can't go on forever. But you could go to a foreign land and waste our money to purchase a house. And we have not authorized you to do so, Madam Premier. As far as I'm concerned, you exceed your authority. You have exceeded your authority. And I'm going to tell you something. When it comes to the blame program, Cello, I don't think you was there at that particular moment. Yes, you were. Yeah, maybe. No, you were gone already. But I can recall, there was a consultant that came to the Anguilla Electricity Company under my chairmanship. And that consultant came with an exercise of tariff revamp. And that consultant bring a nonsensical proposal to the board of the Anguilla Electricity Company, whereby you didn't have a sensible board unlike this nonsensical jokers you got here today, we would have been paying a fixed tariff, the ordinary people, of $141 a month. $141 a month. When that consultant from Suriname came there with the nonsense, I said to him, wait, you smoking dope? Eh? You can come here with this nonsense or sensible board and you think that we gonna, I said, listen, we ain't got no time to waste, my friend. Thank you very much for your time. And I hope that my colleagues will understand what I am saying. Could we even think, moreover promote such a nonsensical proposal as far as the tariff revamp is concerned? That was inclusive of it. The consumers of this country, he proposed that they pay a minimum of $141 EC. So whether you turn on your light or not, the poor people in Anguilla would have been paying $141 monthly. I'm saying that to say this. If that board of ANGLEC had ratified and promoted that proposed initiative, who you want to be blamed? We, the board of ANGLEC, would have to be blamed. So in this circumstance, where the government of Anguilla, the government of the Anguilla United Front is in charge, like we were in charge, why blame the deputy governor, Madam Premier? Why blame the farmer administration? Why blame the senior civil servants? The blame have to be laid at your feet. And I'm going to give you a story of viewers. Let me tell you something. Wisdom is scarce. Wisdom is scarce. Why? I went out, God must be sending me out here, or somebody else, I don't know. I went out with my cousin Bonton about a month ago. Lord Waterman. It's a pity that we can't revive it to really be part of this subsidiary body of the Anguilla United Front. Because it's not a real United Front, you know. It's a subsidiary. You understand? A subsidiary of the front. Because this woman disgraced the legacy of Bonton and Victor. You hear what I'm telling you? And that's my opinion, and I believe my opinion is a fact. So, back to this Bonton situation. I went out to see Feathers to visit my cousin one Sabbath. So he said to me, Richard, boy, I'm glad I see you. That's what we call each other. Call me. He said, boy, you know, I'm a very worried man. And I said, what happened to you? You feeling well? He laughed at me. He said, no, man, you know, Richard, we really put a lot in the development of this front, you know. What happening now, I'm not feeling too well because I love my country. I love my country. And you could see that in his eyes, his heart was filled and the tears were close to being shed. So he said to me, Richard, you see that salary review exercise at the APM table or commission when they're in office? You know, he like to use his hand. Cora have to be careful. She has to be careful. And I hope I see her before this thing be passed, because this could either make or break the Anguilla United Front. He said, listen, what I would advise her is to incorporate the opposition in this whole initiative. Why? Because when they sit in the fan, this is what they can't blame the front. All of them would have to be blamed. He said, you forget what we did, the legislature suspension? We bring on you, but we bring on Eddie. Just like Belcher, you'll be with us. But we had majority. So what could they say we win in Parliament? We were all in it together. So, my viewers, I only give you an example of the value of wisdom. So, therefore, I'm putting to you that this subsidiary front regime need to align themselves, probably with the Bonton, the Victor, or who else, to be able to see if they could retrieve some sort of status in the decision-making process. Because believe you me, everything them touch in terms of decisions are like dust, charcoal dust, and it's very unfortunate. But I can tell you something. Someone told me, I didn't reach it there in the presentation that was made on Friday, last Friday by Class FM. Someone told me that DJ Hammer proposed to the Premier if this whole exercise based on the colossal sum of monies in expenditure, if it is sustainable. And she responded, as I was told, yes, it is sustainable. I don't know, however, if the interviewer was wise enough to say, well, okay, Madam Premier, you just made a declaration, fine, and I believe you. But I want you to explain to the people of Anguilla, how will this be sustainable? Viewers, there's no secret that some years ago we had a transshipment project. And we thought that we would have been having it for a very, very long time. But guess what? We all know it was short-lived. Thanks God that we had a wise Minister of Finance and a wise Minister of Infrastructure at that time that did extensive road program from that transshipment money. Otherwise, today, we have had a very wealthy Apex, Napa, Brothers, Park Haven, because our suspensions would have been rattling and falling apart, right? But it's not the end, because here we have a lot of needs, not wants, because the house in London is a want.
Yeah, not even one.
Huh? We actually haven't built a case up to now for that initiative. Haven't built a case. Lady, it's not your money. The capital belongs to the people of Anguilla. This is a mega decision. This is an extraordinary initiative. So onus would be on you, Madam Premier, to stop your nonsense. Stop your bullying approach and come to the people of Anguilla. I could say to you, viewers, in 2016, and I think Salo is privy to this situation, whereby we had 3 legal matters. And I said it already, but I'm going to recap it again. The board at that time had autonomy to make a decision. But guess what? We felt that the company is owned by over 700 persons, and it is only requisite that we go to the owners of the company and seek their permission to make settlements, and that was done. Anguilla is owned by the 8 elected officials, the 11 legislators. Anguilla is owned by the population of Anguilla, the 14, 15,000 or whatever it is. So how can the Premier think that they have the authority to abuse the purse of the people of Anguilla? Different to the travel spree, they got a vehicular spree, they probably got a podium spree, they got a house spree, they got a salary spree, and heaven knows what else spree. they have in mind. And my cousin Jester is right. They are very good at governing from this subsidiary Anguilla United Front. Is very good at governing from the outside.
Yep.
But when them get in office, there is no secret. The proof is in the pudding. 15 months have elapsed, and we can't even see one initiative they have begun to do. When you start to put on your points as yet,
You don't want on the other
talking in Parliament, I'm going to deviate a bit, but still stay on the reckless approach of the subsidiary Anguilla United Front. The fellow in Parliament talking about 200 street lights and how they're going to pay up Anglic because they got a conscience and all the rest of it. Fine, I agree with him. I agree with him 100%. Because this is years ago. Anglic has been absorbing the responsibility of government as it relates to the consumption of kilowatt hours with the street lighting. That's the responsibility of the state, wherever you go. So likewise, I think it's also the responsibility of the government of Anguilla. But there are more other critical issues that our minister in question should be addressing. How long we didn't have the base rate of 62 cents per kilowatt hour for over 30 years? Isn't the company due a tariff revamp? Comprehensive. Not only that, them talking he and the fellow who has gone ready and go and talk all type of things out he had, right? There is serious legislation that must be addressed. Prior to talking about renewable energy, but I'm not prepared to lecture to them anymore. Only when they reach a stumbling block, they're going to recognize that they haven't addressed the prerequisites to move forward with the development of the renewable energy program. These people guessing their way through. I mean, look at that. I see a fella out here there with no hair, he only hair towards it, on the assumption that he must be the new CEO of the company. He there walking around, and these folks that got no pen don't even know where he going because you can see the stuff. He the stuff with the investment as I learned. Rumor that he said it's a bad investment the company Anglic has made. That's a rumor. And it's a very strong one. The question is, with the amount of the service, and I'm very disappointed myself that I didn't travel with my file to read out to the people, the viewers of this Anguilla and the viewers at large, the very irresponsible behavior of the Board of Anglic as it relates to this lease arrangement between the Crown and the Anguilla Electricity Company. But that for another time, because we can't do everything all the time, or one time. Because you have a situation from the top of my head that this lease we entered into with the real Anguilla United Front government in June of 2002, exclusively for the development of administration building. Now the Board of Anglic, in principle, has breached. The Board of Anglic has breached that lease arrangement. Because if it is true that they are developing that derelict property out there as an administration building, We can have 2 administration buildings in Anglais. So therefore, the purpose of the lease have been breached. So all we could do is call on the government to pull the lease arrangement. Because Anglais, the board of Anglais in principle has indicated we don't want our land leased no more. Give it to the tourist board or some other organization that have interest in the development of buildings, but we don't need it no more. You know, it's so unfortunate. But you know where this situation came from? From the whole problem they have with not relating to the people and Anguilla. Had the board of Anglais been wise enough to call a special meeting of the shareholders and put on the table this proposed initiative, they would have never gone wrong. But guess what? I guess there was a fella that was once there and is no longer there that was pushing this program. And when they wake up from this slumber, them kick him out because they realize that we're toxic in the organization. But I hope that they haven't get rid of toxin and then bring in poison. It's the same day? I don't know. So, my people, we are now in limbo. We are limbo in the context that we really don't know where we are in terms of leadership in this country. Because we have someone in a leadership position who are very comfortable in misleading the people of this country. And we want to ask the question, how longer will she continue with this sort of misconduct and undesired behavior? We put people there who we believe will seek the best interest of Anguilla. No. Let's look at this realistically. We have a set of young people that are coming out of the high school annually. There's no secret that the majority of these young people, they have issues, yes, but we should be prepared to work with these young people. Why? We are becoming older every day, and we have to be prepared to train these people. We have to be prepared to support these people to take over the mantle as the years go by. You must understand that the average Anguillan person is accustomed of looking forward to one of the biggest investments on average that they would make. The biggest investment on average, the average Anguillan would like to make an investment in a home. To build a home, there are 2 major things that you would need, if not 3. You would need land, you would need capital, and you'll also need support and willpower to take it through. Now, you're going to tell me, gentlemen, you're going to tell me, viewers, it would seem to me that, what is it, the initial $9.5 million that was put in the budget, we don't know whether that's a down payment or talking about for the proposed purchase of the house in London. I think that was part of the supplementary appropriation. And we don't know whether that's a deposit or whether, we don't know why it's for. But all we know is that based on what was put forward, that is a figure that was there for this glorious house in London, why wait for. No. Don't you think that that being classified as a want? Because if we come to ourselves as 59 years old after the revolution, and we survived 59 years without a house in London, why we can't survive another 5 years without one? We are in challenging times. And I will never come off the point that we have to set up situation to assist our young people. So if you want to take those wasted monies that you want to expend in England and try to develop a land bank, for example, you develop this land bank and then you could probably subdivide those lands and open up lease purchase, lease to own arrangement to the young people based on a methodology that you could put in place. And I think that will be much more seen as a need by the young people, as opposed to this glorious house in London. Heaven knows, I understand that the Premier say she haven't seen it, but other two government officials say that it's okay or it's all right. To the best of my knowledge, these persons don't have no knowledge about, it's like, you think that I'm gonna send you as a mechanic to check a second-hand vehicle and you won't come to me that tell me that it's a good one and believe you?
You know, as a novice, the novice don't come to that.
A novice. Likewise, in my view, these fellas are novice. So how could they tell you about the structural integrity of the house? How they could tell you? Because remember, in them countries, they could put a lot of cash over a womb, and you wouldn't believe why I got behind there. You understand? So you need serious people to do due diligence. Due diligence before you go forward with these investments. So I find it very ironic that it seemed to me like the Premier is the Minister of Finance and she never knows what's going on. No, that brings us to the point, if I was to revert to that presentation. The Premier, in essence, indicated that she had no knowledge, or limited knowledge, that was in the report, because she made reference to wage workers and statutory boards and things like that that was not included in that review exercise. But how you only know that and you ain't know the rest conveniently? I mean, that's a little bit on the silly side, isn't it? How could you only say you look at a report and you only recognize, to paraphrase, that wage workers and statutory bodies was not included in the review, and they should be included. But ironically, the proposal with the bloated items that include she herself, she ain't said that part. Very convenient, isn't it? Very convenient. Madam Premier, that ain't good enough. You got to do better than that. And you know, let me tell you something. She also indicated that she was given the report, but the other ministerial members of the Executive Council did not have the report. But you know what she did in essence? She in essence said that her colleagues betted blind in Parliament and maybe in Executive Council. Because how you mean that they haven't seen it? Only you was given the report. But they had a very critical exercise to undertake. How could Gwilla go out to the executive arm of government and pass something, but your implication coming out of your mouth say that they didn't have the report, but yet they're passing the executive council, and subsequently in favor of it in the executive and parliamentary arm of government. I mean, what is this? She in essence saying that she got puppets around. By implication, that is what the premier is saying. Listen, as far as I see, the people of Anguilla need to conclude that we need to have an independent inquiry when it comes to the general conduct of this administration. Because the type of nonsense that we are hearing, we deserve better than that. We, the people of Anguilla, deserve better than that. I don't think, and let me tell you something, fellas. Let me tell you something, viewers. You will be alarmed to know the type of people that supported the Anguilla United Front, how disturbed they are with the general conduct with this administration, in particular, the one that holds the leadership position. Extremely disappointed, extremely let down.
All of it, it's all.
And I do hope, you know, there are others there that saying things, and then when you play back, you hear that it's contradictory information. I mean, it's very distasteful, extremely distasteful. When you have people who's supposed to be representing you that are obviously misrepresenting us. My colleagues, let me say this. I'm happy to know that we are back on the air to be able to disseminate our general sentiments to our people here, there, and abroad. Because this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
I'm very aware that you gentlemen have given me the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Well, let me just interject here really. What you're dealing with now tonight, we are looking at the current affairs in the country. And
a minute,
right.
small amount.
And I know that you, Mr. Rowan, as I often coin the phrase, your ears are always to the ground. And you would have all this vast information, because one thing with you stay alert in what's happening. You know, you're not here to fabricate or distort innuendos or any stories as such. You know, one thing I always say to Vanya about you, when you hear Harold talk, listen, because he have the facts. He back from his crease. He don't wild swipe like you, Vanya. And that is one of the things that he must be commended for. And we have been we haven't had a program for the past couple of weeks. So, as he said, this is just minute. There's more. So, Mr. Rowan, speak on, because people are listening. You are the voice for the voiceless. And there are things that are happening, because some of what you are speaking to, I hear the chatter louder and louder and louder. You know, fellas pull me over all on the road and say, "Selu, why we gotta have a revision of the salaries, you know?
What's going on? You know, people are always saying this. The talk is loud. The chatter is getting louder. So I just want to say to you, Rowan, carry on.
Yeah.
But you know, gentlemen, I want to bring to our attention a very unfortunate situation as it relates to the whole proposed revamp, a phased revamp of this water situation. As you know, I'm an Eastern man. I mean, I'm an Anguilla man, but I spend most of my time in the Eastern community, to correct myself.
Mm.
And I am telling you that over the past week or two, there have been repairs going on to the network, transportation network of water between the valley and Eastern proper. Almost every day, the water department is there repairing lines. This is no April Fool joke. And you're gonna tell me that realistically, where we got water pipes there hang out in the so-called custom pond department for all these months, that you can't really at least get something started out where at least one phase, a part of phase could initiate. Gentlemen, give it
Absolutely.
up, give it up to who you should give it up to. I am putting it to you, the people of Anguilla, and listeners and viewers at large, that if Mr. Hayden Hughes was the minister responsible for MyQ, there's absolutely no question about it. We would have had some serious action going on
Yeah.
when it comes to the revamp of the water network in this country. It's disastrous. See,
It's a shame.
a necessity. And here you got this woman talking about this house in England, this house in England, this house in England. Charity begins at home, Madam Premier. And home in this case is even closer home where you live in the Long Park community. What happened? You think that everybody in Anguilla got systems like you? No. There are poor people who are very dependent
Go on.
on the water network. Very loyal
And
to be
it's
able. I mean, you could bring about a epidemic, a pandemic, some type of bad situation when you will help if people don't have water to slobber themselves. I mean, it's very unfortunate. Wake up, my people. Wake up, the government officials. Consult with your people.
shame.
We need to know their needs. You need to know their needs and address them accordingly. We can deal with wants at this very critical period, challenging period in Anguilla. Now, I have to go back to that whole situation that we need answers to. When it comes to those 800 tons of cement in the Sandground community, the people of Anguilla need to know why those 400 bags of cement, 800 tons of cement have been allowed to spoil on our island. This is a tremendous loss to the people of Anguilla, directly and indirectly.
Angolians, yeah.
There's a loss of income to the importer. There's a loss of revenue to the Port Authority. What is the situation? We, the people and Anguilla, are concerned about these grievous situations. When are we got to know? When we got to know, if ever? It was seem as if behind the curtains, this administration seems to have sworn an act of secrecy.
That's true.
And this is completely contrary to proper governance in a governmental organization. We are calling on the government, the administration of the day, to answer the questions, the relevant questions that the people of this country need. We need to know. I'm going to tell you something about how deceptive our leaders could be. And I'm going to tell you in anticipation. You see that Sandy Hill Road there? The premier going to give people the impression that that is her achievement. People are Angola. My good people, regionally and internationally. The woman don't know a thing. Just what she said, no, she lied when she said she didn't know the contents of the report. Absolutely no question about it. And now she's going to give you the impression that she delivered the Sandy Hill Road. I want the former Minister of Infrastructure, I challenge him to come on radio, to social media, and call me a lawyer. That is this gentleman, Harry Wan, that spearheaded the realization of that Sandy Hill Road. When Mr. Hughes was in office, I took it on myself because I recognized we had no representation in District 2 in the docile. I walked to the minister's office, and I developed a case. I built a case for that Sandy Hill Road because I recognize that more than ever, the silt, the white dot that they were padding the road with good intentions, was negatively impacting the sand on the beach in Sandy Hill. This sand was turning to silt. And if we were to believe in our tourism product, if we were to believe in the legacy that we're supposed to pass on to generations to come, we would act responsibly, like I acted responsibly, and went down to Mr. Hughes, even though we were knocking heads. And I said, partner, let me tell you something. You may not want to see me, but you have to see me. You have no choice but seeing me. Because you know what I did, and I want to do more for the people of East End and the people of Anguilla at large. Today, we have a paved road, and mark you, it's not me in isolation, because we have to thank very much the landowners for giving it up to make it public so that we could get things done. But I could say to you that I am a critical player that went there and built a case and was able to get that in the budget to move forward for its development. And I know that Mr. Hughes will concur with what I'm saying here tonight. I wouldn't leave him rest before he go and set up his gym in a man or any backside dealing with the same situation. I said, nag you till they get it done. And so he get the profession set. And today, I must say, we have a very improved surface going into the Sandy Hill Beach. Thanks to the other stakeholders in conjunction with myself, and thank myself, because guess what? I wouldn't want to tell you. Sometimes you gotta blow your own trumpet. And I'll call up another fellow by the name of Sean Richards. He would attest to the accuracy of this. You see that basketball court we hope to beat us tomorrow, God's willing, at 5 o'clock. The funding for that court, he could tell you where it come from because of my direction. And guess what? That premier was so disingenuous. I was present at that opening of that court. And guess what? She give recognition to every party that was a part of that revamp, of that the water holes and so on that were on that court, right? Poor workmanship. That Harold. When she was freshly elected, people, we had a discussion, and I spoke and then said thank to Dr. Webster one, thank to Hayden Hughes too, who repetitiously commended me for saving the Anguilla Electricity Company for the people of Anguilla. Because of my leadership ability, because of my resilience to getting things done for my island. You know, when I brought that, I said to the premier, but today, I'm still waiting on you in the Blinded and United Front for budgetary bridge at $22.9 million or something like that. You want to waste away the sovereignty. Could you imagine that? And you know what the woman did? The woman said to me, don't talk to me going forward. If you want to talk to anybody, or send me, go to this fellow, a third party. I ain't call his name. And let me tell you something. That tells you the disrespectful behavior that this woman have to prominent constituents. Prominent constituents. And it's very unfortunate. I do hope, let me tell you something. If we respect our island, if we respect the constitution of the land, likewise, we have to respect that they were elected. Therefore, we will hope and of course pray that these government officials, with this hooligan behavior, will try the best to see if they could transition in a better conduct, a more appropriate conduct, instead of this unorthodox behavior to the people of Anguilla. I couldn't believe. I'm not a customer, as Mr. Fleming would call it, to go to government offices. But when you go to the Home Affairs office, I mean, it was like you're going home. But when you have a situation where the Home Affairs office now have a questionnaire, 3 questionnaire forms that you have to fill out, probably embarrassing some people who are not literate. I mean, that again is a very strange phenomenon. And as I said in the past, and I'll say in the present, I do hope that going forward, that when these politicians come to the homes of the people to see if they could pass them exams, give them a 3-form questionnaire and ask them what are the reasons why they should be given another tenure after this sort of hooligan behavior, respectful behavior to the people of Anguilla. Let them write it down.
I agree.
And then they will consider them, of which they do not deserve. I could tell you clearly, the success or failure of any administration in this island, little island, is determined by the general conduct of that administration in the first year in office. So based on the way in which they behave in office, the first year will determine whether they can fail or whether they may succeed. Look, I don't think you're gonna come the third and fourth year and try to pull wool over the electors' eyes and think that it gonna go. Oh no. The people of Anguilla, I'm very confident that the people of Anguilla know who you are. And guess what? They will deal with you accordingly. Just how you deal with them, you fake them out, the entertainment party, you fake them out, you beguile them, and you get elected. Likewise, when the time will come, you will be sorted out by the same people. You hear what Mighty Swallow say? The same people who put you up is the same people who are going to take you down. And it's unfortunate, because let me tell you something. Selo, you would know. That fella there in the back, he's a kid compared to us. We met in high school from 1975. We fostered and we maintained very cordial relationships over 40 years. And I don't know for the hell of my life why in 5 short years a government or administration cannot maintain a good relationship with its people. It's very unfortunate. Something is wrong with them. And you know, I have a tendency to believe what some people say, that from the time you go up there all time, drink that coffee and turn stupid.
So you are saying, Mr. One, because I listened to you there, you're very emphatic because what you're saying, as I alluded to earlier, is facts. But do you think that something is fundamentally wrong, really? Why? I mean, you talk the talk, but then you don't walk the walk. You see what I'm saying?
Talk to me.
I hear a lot of people definitely coming to me. No, I'm not here picking political sides as per se. I would not do such. But supporters of the present administration of the day keep telling me, Selo, we got hoodwinked. They talk the talk, but they ain't walking the walk.
Yeah.
You see. And that is the sad part here, really, that is affecting a lot of people. Because on the present direction in which the country is heading, people are perturbed, disturbed in the direction in which this country is heading. People are wondering what's going to become of us. Economically, people are saying they haven't moved the needle. They haven't seen anything done. People look, people hear you talking. You give them a chance now to prove your worth, to prove yourself. But then again, it boils down to you ain't doing nothing. You know, and you hear that word reverberating all around. When you talk to people, people always say, I ain't doing nothing at all, brother. Nothing happening. He ain't doing nothing. You know, I mean, there's programs that I thought that when a government move from one government to the next, there should be a continuation process. Am I correct me if I'm wrong on that, here, brother?
That's the way it
Well,
is.
what I could say is that you're absolutely correct. We have the tendency to talk the talk and we don't walk the walk. Ever so often in Parliament, I hear these parliamentarians indicate that government is continuous. But they say government is continuous conveniently. But ironically, when they want, they change this, they change that, then do this, then do that, and spin out the plans that they were met there by the former administration. Because be mindful, there's only one government, but there are different administrations. One government. That's why they say government is continuous. You know, I was going to Facebook some time ago. Sorry, you want to continue, Selu?
To be honest with you, it doesn't make any sense anyhow because one fella put it best, and I'm just repeating what he said. He said the AUF government always have a tendency to do nothing. It has been proven in previous years. And he says to me, Selo, you know what the F stands for on the AUF? I said, no. He said, failure. He said, you went to school, when you said an exam where you had to get an F. Failure. Failure to represent the people of this country. You understand? People are so upset because you haven't rolled out any programs, anything that you said you will do. You said you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do this. Okay. You stopped most of the projects by the previous government. Okay. But then show us then that you will be doing something tangible, something that people can say, well, okay, they're seeing things happening now, you know. Instead of progress, we are now seeing regress. We have regressed. It's a form of regression. There's no progression. You understand? And in the 21st century now, when Angola needs movers and shakers to get this country going, you see what's happening in the Middle East, war here, war there, the shocks. What are you putting in place? What are you doing? What are you doing? Instead, you hear people say, again, this is not Selo, You hear people say, well, traveling. They're looking at all of that. The house in London, the mansion, they're looking at all of that. But there's more immediate issues that needs to be addressed here on the island in which we live. You know, focus on home first. You know, this is thoughts that I get from people.
Yeah, of course.
So when I sit back and listen to Mr. Ruwan, who, as I said, is well versed with what's happening over there, those are the same complaints that I hear on a daily basis, whether you go in the supermarket, wherever you go, you know. And, you know, some people say, look, you had a government that was working, and now you have a government that came in on promises. A lady said, a promise is a comfort to a fool. So then take all of you as fools. This is what she said. She said, she can't. Go ahead.
You know, this government is obviously compiled of quite a few confused characters. And I'm going to substantiate that.
I was just
The
about to tell you to do that.
statement I made.
Yeah, do that.
There's a minister that's say responsible for electricity, right? The world know that he behaves as if he's a minister angry. Fine. Let's leave it at that because he ain't got an understanding a full understanding of governance. He pretends as if he does, but he doesn't. But leave it as that. So he continuously promoting the development of this 12 megawatt farm, the Anguilla Electricity Company, as if he's the chairman of the company, the board of directors. Okay, leave it as that. Right? Fine. My backside. I now going to Facebook and I see the same minister in question promoting either 400 or 500 megawatt farm for the hospital. No problem. But you know what? In his release, what he said? He said this will provide a more reliable source of energy for the hospital. So by implication, the minister in question shot himself in the foot. Because what he's implying that a 12 megawatt farm that Anguilla Electricity Company about to develop is not reliable. By implication, that's what the man said. Notwithstanding that, his father went on and said that on average, this will save the hospital $161,000 a month in consumption. So, therefore, so you see an element of crookedness. He's there pushing strong for the advancement of the 12 megawatt farm. But still, technically, he's trying to collapse the Anguilla Electricity Company. Because if you're going to pull away $161K per month
Resources.
on consumption from the company I'm trying to develop, well, what happened? You ain't trying to collapse the same initiative they're promoting? I mean, absolute madness. Listen,
Understand.
it's no wrong. If I would have probably do it. Why you gonna say? I ain't gonna put it in writing. Not me. I will probably do it, but I'm not gonna go put it on in ink. Not me. I mean, this tells you the sort of cavity, the cavities that you got in government, right? And you know what I mean? You need people with content. You need people who really think about what they are doing. Because in essence, as I explained, and I could be corrected, but when I rationalize those initiatives, they're not moving in the same direction. The man developing here, and then he poking sword in the same initiative to see if he collapses it. I mean, if you so believe in the development and the advancement of the 12 megawatt farm, right? In the Anguilla Electricity Company, and be minded that that is one area that has a more or less almost a dedicated underground feed, even though there are consumers that could come online with underground 13.8 lines, a voltage line, medium voltage lines, right? Straight to the hospital. So even if there are hurricanes, the hospital still very likely will still have power once they got generation.
Disruption.
When the man wrote, he didn't say it, he wrote that this is a more reliable source of energy for the hospital. So you don't believe in the renewable energy program that he's about to develop, as he said, in Anglic. But fellas, you know, I told you all that when the same gentleman spoke about this loan is approved and signed off, remember I told you it's signed off in principle? So in other words, there is a shopping list that the Anguilla Electricity Company has to sort out before one drawdown is being given by the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB. These fellas didn't know what's going on. Poor fellas. I mean, lost. Totally lost. And I don't know what I'm going there for. I'm useless. Useless. Yeah? My God. I mean, we got to understand that when you're talking about this magnitude of borrowings, nobody give away money stupidly. Not even small money. Move over mega bucks. And they believe that overnight that the Caribbean Development Bank, based on the historic dispensation and approval dispensation of loans, that they will have been done, having the farm done. You can see, as the one director indicated, that they even know where to start from out there. So, bro, you may know, and believe you me, that's a fact. And let me tell you something. If I was part of the Anguilla United Front administration, I would have known how to save face with that bad decision. Because I, for one, would have proposed that the government of Anguilla, instead of investing that money in London, take the money and buy out that place from Anglic and leave Anglic, go on the virgin property that they have the lease for and develop the property there, the admin building there. What? Because secondarily, you create more employment in the construction sector. I mean, you won't go and waste money there. You're going to waste away $7.3 million on the building. And probably I got another 8-10 million or more. Because maybe you may go cut walls and the whole building may fall along and you don't know. Right? So you're going to have a high contingency in those estimates to be able to realize something there. And at the end of the day, you still got to buy more land for parking. I mean, and still, what you ain't get what you desire to retrofit that building. You still can't get exactly what I want. And moreover, most importantly, the staff is absolutely disgruntled. The staff indicated, why should we be going to this building when we was part and parcel of the design phase of this ultra-modern building that was approved since 2015 for construction. Gentlemen, viewers, the worst thing an organization, excuse me, can have is a disgruntled human resource. I repeat myself, the worst thing an organization could have is very unhappy and dissatisfied staffing. It's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate, my people. You have people with derelict brains in their head. Derelict brains in their head. They don't know whether they're going east or west, believe you me. And let me tell you something, a lot of people don't know. Any administration is as good as the people that surround that administration.
Point taken.
A lot of people think.
No, that's a valid point.
Donald Trump, for example. if America run by Donald Trump, you know, all of us would have been dead by now. You know that. So it is only the staffing around Donald that got us alive. I used to walk out. You
Harold,
think that Daniel would have been there today, will drag you somewhere in the road?
let me continue here
Never
with the
mind.
let's continue with the current affairs here. Current
Uh,
affairs on Anguilla. Is there any justification in the purchase of the new vehicles?
Salo, short of information, I cannot attest to whether it is a good gesture or it is not. Because one, you have to first ask, what did this fleet replace? What part of the fleet was replaced? What was the condition of those vehicles that were retired, right? What is the cost of the new vehicles, what they expended? Also, prior to that, you have to try to figure out what volume of maintenance was taken on the old vehicles. So I cannot hasten to say it was, or on the other hand, say it was or was not a bad decision. Short of information, I'm not in a position to do that. Believe you me. If I have other information, I'll be able to carry out analysis on whether it was a good move or whether it was not. But I am not privy to critical factors that will help me to determine that.
Point taken there. All right, Harrigan, I know you're having difficulty with your audio there, but as we discuss the current affairs in the country, any input from you?
Yeah, how's it look? Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, we're hearing you somewhat.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah,
muffled a bit.
I have to apologize for
Yeah.
for my tonight because I have to get my laptop replaced. But anyway, yeah, as far as the vehicles, I don't think that I prioritize that schedule have been announced because to me, the police department should have been first and solve because to me that those are very essential. I think that the police department should have gotten first some of the when it comes to the vehicles. The ministers could have waited and continue the rental for now, but the police department is badly in need of vehicles, as I understand. It seems like this government just believe in the blame game. Like every single thing they do, and people that disagree with them, they run on the radio and blame somebody else for it. Like, oh, it's not our fault. The previous government did it before. Up to the day, people call me, those vehicles was purchased from 2023, 2024, long before. The set up for the raise of the schedule for the raise for the civil servants was done from the previous government. I mean, come on, who's the government now? Why you keep on going back and blaming other people for what you signed off on? Because they're part of the executive council signed off on what was agreed on. So if you walk away with an agreement, then that's what it is. You allow it to go forward. So this is what I continue to do is continue to blame other people, the previous government, the governor, everybody getting the blame except them. And they seem to say they believe it's all about you and people's force, but everything they do is about themselves. They give themselves a huge raise in salary and the upper top. They're giving themselves brand new cars. They travel all over the world. They're going on sightseeing all over the world. And they're buying up this property in London that is some big secret because it seems to me that somebody's benefiting from this property in London and we don't know about it. And it seems to be a big secret. The same thing is with MTA building. There seems to be some secret about that building because as the government approaches to buy that building, and some people farm back the company and directors unknown to the shareholders. What's going on with that? So it seems to be a lot of things undercover that's going on that people are going to need to ask questions and know what it is about. It's just unfortunate that our health care is in a crisis. We need national health care. People go to the hospital, walk in there, come out, they come back out. It's a shame, it's a disgrace that our health care is such a situation. Our water department, as Harold said, you still can't get proper running water to the island. So why is London such a priority? So there's a lot of concerns that this government seems to not care about. And, England, they've been promising renewable energy from the time they get in. Seems like they can't even get the ground of that either. So, this government really, the government is also looking to increase the highest budget they have already in history for more money. So, I don't know, man. We're in some big, serious problems.
All right, Vanya, we heard you, dear. He seems to be clearing up a bit, but
I think it's not to say that they can't understand this presentation. They're not hearing him clearly.
right. He's being muffled somewhat.
Yeah.
I think he still has to do a crash course in terms of his
I don't think so.
navigation.
You need to ask Trump for some gift of a new laptop.
The laptop I'm using, the whole laptop is very, very slow, so I have to replace it. my laptop is not working properly. I'm using a very old antique laptop. So it's dragging.
So, Vanya raised a very touchy, well, I think I may as well call it a slang, even a slogan. We put people first, is that? We put people first.
That's rhetoric. That's
Now,
rhetoric.
if we were to examine the current situation, okay, I spoke about current affairs regarding our brothers Steve Hatchard Hodge and Peter Lemontan. Steve Hatchard Hodge working for the company over 31 years, right? As I know it. Steve Hatchard Hodge elevated himself Chief Operations Officer of Angling. Peter, Chief Financial Officer, right? These two members of staff, very senior in the organization. And believe it or not, it's over a year now that these gentlemen has one been suspended. They have been suspended, and to date, they haven't been given the reasons why they have been suspended. And of course, this brings us to the point of improper governance of the board of directors. And with current affairs, I was browsing Facebook again. One of those directors on the board of Angling is offering courses for good governance. The directors offering courses for good governance. and is very culpable for bad governance as a director. What the hell are you hearing when I saw this? I couldn't believe it. Bad governance. So let me tell you something. I'm going to put it on the record. If you want to waste your money with this man, go to teaching. Because you ain't going to learn nothing right. Or very little you learn right. Because he's culpable with poor governance. And not on one count, multiple counts. Even what he did to get the board constituted is illegal and improper governance. He beguiled the court. The shareholders of the company did not give him the authorization. Did not give him the authorization to do what he did. So once you start wrong, you could never continue right.
Right.
You understand what I'm telling you? So here we got these two gentlemen, comrades and viewers, that has been out of Anglic for over 1 year. And to date, they haven't been told of the reason or reasons why they have been suspended. And I want to tell you more. The leader of government business directly and indirectly is responsible for the breach of the Labor Relations Act that clearly states in Section 114 that in 14 days' time, that when disciplinary action is being taken against anyone, that you must, not should, could, must be informed of why you are suspended. So the same woman who tabled the law in 2019 is the same woman in 2025, 2026, who's in violation and in breach of the same law that she tabled and assisted to pass in the House of Parliament. And this is a stickler for good governance. Very ironic, very, very ironic. Again, you must understand that these gentlemen, as I said before, they're not animals, they're human beings. And you think it is fair, you think it is just to have these fellas home. You could understand the psyche of these fellas being distorted. You could imagine how the families and friends surrounding these fellas, you could understand how they feel. You could even have a situation where you have unnecessary medical issues occurring because of the abuse of power, authority, abuse of authority. And the blame must be squarely fitted at the feet of the leader of government business. The leader of government business is responsible for all that was taking place. I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if you can remember the cell. In 2002, a manager of the Angola Electricity Company was being dealt with for improper conduct in execution of his duty. I blew the whistle, and guess what? My colleagues handcuff me instead of handcuff the perpetrator. At that time, Mr. Osborne Burlington Fleming was in charge. And he knew well, based on information, not misinformation, because I took my documents. And he said, well, okay, no problem. They're playing stupid. They're playing stupid. Let me tell you something. Let's agree on this. You understand that we in politics, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to remove all of them. All I'm going to remove. So I ain't got no problem with that. Because if you have a board that is counterproductive, exploiting the assets of the shareholders, because what this nuisance board is doing is paying 4 persons for doing 2-man job. 4 persons for doing 2-man job. And the premier is comfortable and very supportive of this naughty behavior. Abuse of authority. So you don't give 2 toots of whether the shareholders' equity is being eroded by misspending. You don't give 2 toots. And that is responsible behavior. Madam Premier are very irresponsible. In other territories, you would have been asked to go home because you're guilty of several disservice to the people of Anguilla. And I ain't guessing what I'm saying. What I'm saying is a fact. It's facts that I am stating here tonight. And I don't care who like me. I am loved by God. And I've proven that. Why? Because when I make statements without fear or favor. Unlike the crooked politicians who tell you one thing on this side of the mouth and another on that side. No. I speak straight. I don't look around when I talking them because I telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm calling on the premier tonight to do what's necessary to bring about remedial actions. But I'll tell you something. You know, them sent a correspondence recently to these fellows in question. And when I was told, however, I can't say it is a fact. I was told, because I like to talk correct, that when the attorney that represent them opened the correspondence, he was very disappointed. Why he was very disappointed? He said, man, why they wouldn't fire ass so I make some money? Shit, that's what I was told. I don't know if this is the truth. I was told so. I don't know if this is the truth. So which means that attorney in question, very experienced, knows very well that the board of ANGLEC, who's representing the shareholders' equity, don't have legs to stand on with the abusive behavior that they have inflicted on these 2 noble gentlemen. And I want to remind the public again, Cora Richardson Hodge is in full support. She's in full support of what's going on. And I want to further remind you that one of the gentlemen, Steve Hatchard Hodge, is a neighbor to Cora Richardson Hodge, the neighbor. And supposed to be a friend and cousin to her spouse. I say that to say this. If she's so abusive to a man, a young man, and I don't want to remind you, by the way, in recent times, he lost a brother, and that adds insult to injury. Steve was going through a lot upon added under abuse. Abuse! But this hooligan board. And I want to say again, Cora Richardson Hart, I want to call you. Is a deceiver. Do what's right. You're playing with the lives of the people in Anguilla. And I don't play kind with that. This is the appetizer. I hope you're prepared to come up on the court 5 o'clock tomorrow for the main course. Come up on the basketball court 5 o'clock tomorrow, you're gonna get a main course. There's a deceiver. They're a deceiver. And you have a problem with that, take me to court. I will start you. I don't play with people who play with people's lives. And you are one. I have no respect for you. And likewise, I will encourage you not to have no respect for me. Be equal. God bless you all. Colleagues? with
Yes,
that,
let me just
I would say-
let me just interject here really that tonight's program really was based on current affairs that's happening in the country really. And you know, you have to hold your government of the day accountable.
That's
You
correct.
have to hold their feet to the fire. Now, when somebody speaks, whether it's not in favor, whether you are a supporter, if it's facts, you have to face the facts as they are, the reality. Because that's what we deal with here on this program. If it ain't factual, we don't speak to that. We deal with the facts as they are. We don't distort stories. And there's been a lot that's going. We could go on and on. There's much more to speak to. But I want to say to Mr. Rowan, whether you like him or don't like him or dislike him or not, he don't hold corners. He speaks his mind as it is. And as I just alluded to, you have to hold the government of the day accountable. You have to hold their feet to the fire. And there's a lot of people who is upset with the direction of this country. Some of them are saying, should we hold on to hope? Because they don't see no hope in the future. Now, I commend the fact that they are having these town halls meetings. Now, the people now have a chance to speak up. And I know they're going to be vocal because they have a lot to speak to. You understand? Like, for example, up to now, people haven't gotten any information as to why this house in London is so crucial, you know. So that's why there's a lot of speculation, and no information brings misinformation. You understand? So the town halls coming to the people, that's a good thing. I applaud that. Because you say in your cliche, you are people government. You put people first. You know, you put people first. Well, if you put people first, this is the start. Come out and hear them. Speak to them. Work collectively. You understand? Because as Harold alluded to earlier, the people are your bosses. They are the ones that put you there, and they are the ones that can take you out.
will take you, shall take you.
So you never neglect them. Because every election cycle, them is the same people you're going back to. And they would not be hoodwinked a second time.
No, they got to flow applications this time.
So on that note there, I want to apologize for Mr. Harrigan. I know that he had a lot that he wanted to come off his chest. But
Pretty much.
for some reason or
Thanks,
the
man.
other, his microphone is not audible enough in terms of clarity. So we understand. But having him here tonight on the program, giving up his time to be here, to join in the discussion, to bring about solutions. That's the whole idea here, really. We all live in this beautiful country, and we all want Anguilla to be, once again, a nation proud, strong, and free. Leaders must lead in a way that is pleasing to the people. You are just there as a leader, but the people are your bosses. And if they don't like the direction in which they have a right to say nay. You see, sometimes people look at it from a different angle, and say, well, oh, he only criticized because his government is not in power or anything as such. No, it's not about that. Election come and gone, you got a government now in power. That's our government. Okay? So therefore, we have to hold them accountable. Any misdeeds that we see going on, we have to bring it back in line. And you don't dictate. Cause I see that word dictate, I see where a lot of that is happening. For example, I'll draw an example here. The Calypso show. I understand that the Calypsonians were up in awe about the changing of the date of the Calypso show. Calypso show used to be on a Wednesday, and they now has put it to the Thursday. Without any consultation as to why this sudden change. I think that you dictated because you haven't changed it. You said, hey, this is the way it is, and it stays like that. Now, the Calypso show already, the numbers have dwindled in terms of people going to the village. But when you put the show now on the Thursday, when people are down Meads Bay and thing partying, nobody ain't gonna come to the show really as per se. So you're putting the show in the abyss. You see, when you need to revive Calypso,
Trying to destroy it instead.
you get me drift. And you don't dictate. You need to have a meeting with the Calypsonians, find out how many Calypsonians will attend and be there. You got a unanimous. You say, well, look, we want to change the date based on this and based on that and based on that. Let them have a say in that.
No, but as a matter of fact, Salo, to interject there, in my view, as I reminded the people earlier, your human resource is the most important asset.
Yes,
Now,
yes,
let's
I agree.
Let's take, for example, the Calypsonians decide to boycott the festival. Where that leave us?
Right. Right.
You have to give them the lead.
And
You
you
have
you
to
and I,
respect for them. Lead them, take the lead. Ask them.
right,
Ask them.
right,
Yes, you may have a, but ask them. The boss
right,
stop at them.
right. You and
Just
I
as
know,
politicians think they're the bosses, likewise, the committee probably think that they're the bosses. No, the
no, you don't dictate. You
Californians
don't
are the
dictate.
bosses. The
No,
participants are the bosses.
they're the ones who make the show. They play an integral role.
I
You
can't.
understand?
They got everything backward.
There was one time the band Clash and stuff like that. They wanted to move that to another day, and I was very adamant about that. And in fact, I let my voice be heard on the radio because the bands themselves was the ones that had created this whole following with band. They created that, you know. And that became one of the bigger shows during the summer festival. And then you want to go change it to another for what? What is the reason of change? If something is working, why change it? And you know that a lot of people were perturbed by that because people come from St. Martin over the weekend just for band Clash, just to be a part of that. But when you go change it, you're messing up with those. You're messing up other people's. You know, you don't do that. You don't do that. And the Calypsonians are still aggrieved by that decision because basically what you're telling them, the hell with that, I ain't make no money. You know, in so many words, that's what you're saying. You understand? And Harold, you know it. Vanya, you know it. August Thursday, everybody down West, down East Bay, partying, heartying, having a good time. Very few gonna come to attend the Calypso show. You see. So before you make them kind of decisions, sit down with the Calypsonians and discuss this. You see, whether or not the Calypsonians have a Calypso association or not, each individual Calypsonian wants to attend the meeting so that his voice could be heard. You must meet with them first. That should have been the first thing before any changing of deeds. Get an input from them. Explain to them your reasons for wanting to do this. They must have the final say, because they're the ones who create the show. You don't dictate, and you don't say, well, look, it's confirmed, it is as it is. You understand? I hearing so many different things. I know that just before the actual commencement of Summer Festival, there's something we call the Bacchanal, you know? Yes, I'm hearing a lot of things. I'm even hearing that, no, that is, again, it's, you know, that's alleged that they would stop the bands from going into Sandy Ground. They wouldn't allow them to go down there. No, that's stupidness. If something is working, why try to disrupt that? Why try to disrupt that flow? You know, I know that getting the bands in Sandy Ground a particular time, you know, you just have to know how you're governing it and how you're marshalling it to get there in time. But people, look, that beach party is the mecca of Anguilla Summer Festival. Nowhere in the world you have a Juve morning and then a beach party, all within the same day, non-stop. People come from far and people come from near just to be here for the beach party, you know. And, you know, I don't like to toot my own horn or blow my own trumpet, but, you know, the brainchild of that idea, I'm sitting right here. I remember, Vanya, and I think, Vanya, you will recall, and a lot of people will recall when John, the late John Benjamin, and I was on the radio, because we used to be on radio from as early as April. promoting carnival, you know, and we was doing that. And I said, John, why don't the Juve morning go around the block and then head down to Santa Ground and let us have one big party down there? And then some people started saying, oh, the trucks gonna run away and the cars are, all kind of negative stuff was said. In the end, it happened, and it is something that people look forward to every year. Every season, that Juve morning heading down to Santa Ground, people look for that. Another thing, again, you're not even getting the kind of information about the summer festival. Everything seems to be secretive. Sometimes I wonder why our carnival is always so secretive. Why we just wait till the last minute to plan? Why? The best kept secret is our carnival. Honestly, it's the best kept secret. And I'll say this here really. I don't want it to sound like I'm blowing anybody's horn here. But the 50th, look, information was disseminated. Everybody knew what was happening. We was promoting, because that milestone within itself was big. And we was promoting that. Now, 52, we were kind of wondering, why is the regression now? From 50 when you was on the right track moving. Look, let me tell you, whether we like it or not, sometimes you gotta give people their credit. Vanya, I told you this, and I'll tell you again here on this live tonight. You were very critical of Ivan, the past chairperson. You never mince your words, And in the end, you give a spade a spade. You said straight up off the bat, you being a former chairperson, you said did a good job. He did a hell of a job. You said earlier in the planning, there were certain things that you didn't like, and you were highly critical of that, which we know. Everybody knew. But as a man, you came out and you said, the man did a hell of a job. You understand? A hell of a job. I was actively involved from the start to the, over the years, Vanya and Harold, and listeners out there know, I didn't inherit the name Mr. Carnival just like that. Over the years, I used to have information. I used to know what's happening, and I would come on the radio and introduce my steel pan and let people know that Carnival is in the air. I used to hype that. Ask not what your country could do. Ask not what your country could do for you, but what you could do for your country. And that, for me, I used to look forward to that, because I am an avid lover of culture. That's my passion. I love culture. And for years, everybody knows I single-handedly promoted, whether it's the Calypsonians, the release of the bands, the pageantry, all of that on my show, on radio. I did that. If you ask me now, when is Carnival, I am a loss. I don't even know when Carnival started. I don't know. It is so sad. I had an interview that was lined up. What day it was, Vanya? I forgot. 2 days back or something like that.
Wednesday.
There was a flyer out that, it never materialized. It never came out, because when I called the chairman, and the chairman, I called him on the phone and I asked him, what time you reaching? Because it was almost 3:30. He had to go to a meeting then, he said. So he couldn't make it then. So I said, okay, what about tomorrow? You know, which would have been the other day.
Right.
He said he wouldn't have been able to make it the other day as well. So I have to respect that. I respect that. And, you know, I am still open to a conversation or a sit down with him, because myself and him, you know, we are born under the same sign, Zodiac, and Zodiac sign, Scorpio. And, you know, we go way back. He's been involved in Carnival with the late John Benjamin over the years. So basically, he knows what the Anguilla culture is about and all of that. But in terms of marketing, I don't know how they go about doing that. He's been there before. He knows what it is. So I would not say anything as it pertains to that. I would feel that he would do his utmost to get it marketed. But Vanya, you know what marketing takes. You know, you have people in the diaspora. You have people all over the world who will be coming to Anguilla for Anguilla Summer Festival. But you need to know what's happening. You need to know so they can plan their dates when they will be here. You need that information. And if you don't get that, let me just pat Vanya on the back here a little bit. When Vanya came in as chairperson of the Anguilla National Carnival Committee, look, I surprised Vanya still to speak to me, because Vanya came up by the station for an interview, and he was warned by his brother and other people, when you go there, say Logan, tear you up, say Logan, hit you hard and all that kind of thing. Because that's something that I believe in. I don't like no snow cone softball questions. I ask questions that I know that the listener would want to ask themselves. So I just have to ask the questions. In terms of my interrogation, I goes about asking the question like what you listening wants to hear. My questions are always comprehensive. And Vanya came, and I went to town with Vanya, you know, and look, Vanya brought tempo here, brother. And up to this day, people that still come Anguilla for the Anguilla Summer Festival. You know why? Because of tempo, brother. What tempo did for Anguilla, put it on the big scale worldwide. And Vanya must be commended for that. Vanya didn't have the kind of monies that would have paid tempo to be here. But he got them here. And that exposure took Anguilla's carnival to the wall. Yeah, that conduit took it to the wall, tempo. And people still come here based on what they had seen. That's when people begin to know about Anguilla's carnival. Well, you know, back. Because when I saw it on tempo myself, I couldn't believe that I was Anguilla. And Vanya, you must be commended for that. You understand? It's ask not what your country could do for you, but what you could do for your country. It's about Anguilla. Anguilla is the bigger picture in all of this. You understand? And we want our carnival to be grand. But we got to think above and beyond. You understand? If we are going to make it grand. So, I know that there's a lot happening. Bands are releasing. The vibe is building. But it's slow. You kind of keep wondering, why is Carnival always a secret? What the best kept secret? You know, you kind of wonder why, you know? But information, Mr. Ruwan, is hard to come by. People, you ask me when it's Carnival, I have no idea. Okay? And it's sad. I have no idea. All I know that Carnival is coming, and it probably will be late July, early August.
How you know?
Eh?
You should know, because there's summer festival, so they come in the summer.
Right. But you know, I know that because of doing it for so many years, I know it's late July, early August.
But you should have an idea what it is with the program. At least the program, at least, you should know that.
But I want to say here though, thanks to the folks who stayed up and viewed the program tonight. Thanks for your comments as always. Thanks for letting your voice be heard, because people meet me on a daily basis and they tell me exactly what's happening, what's on their mind, how they're thinking. And, you know, we are not here to critique as per se, you know, because that's not what it's about. Unity is strength. Teamwork. People have to work together for a better Anguilla. And we see too much of division. Party politics is what's tearing us asunder. You understand? If my government is not in, you know, you feel away, your government is not in. So the other government, what they did, you don't want to continue that because you don't want them to look too good. You know? I'm tired of hearing some people say one thing and then a few days later, it's another story. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, I'm seeing a lot of that. And I think that we as Anguilla and Anguillians, we have not arrived. We still got a lot of ways to go. And when I listen to my old schoolmate there, Harold, being very emphatic, expounding on some of the issues, I know it's hard his heart to even speak to it. And some people will say, yeah, he's a fine one to talk because he put government in and no blah 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 blah. When you really look at what he's speaking to, it's factual. He's not no distortion. He's not no innuendos. If you're doing wrong, he speaks to it, and he's speaking. He calls you out. You know, and that's what I like about having him there. He calls you out. He calls you out on it. You see. So we, as people, we must respect each other's opinion and views. You might not agree with my views. You might not agree with his views. But at the end of it, we will disagree to agree. Because we're keeping our eyes on the prize, and the prize is our country, Anguilla. We want the best for it. All achieving, each endeavoring, all achieving, inclusive. We all Anguillians. And we all live here at the end of the day. It ain't about a select few. It's about all of us. It ain't about, I remember one time a late minister of government told me, he said, my boy, we ain't gonna even get the crumbs. That's what his thought to me. He said, I never forget that. He said, boy, we ain't gonna even get the crumbs. I don't want to call his name right now tonight, but I'm just drawing that analogy there. But we see a lot of that. And Anguilla is too small for this. And look at it. Look how party politics got us. If you back in their party, you and that person ain't friends for years, all because of party politics. You ain't speaking to families living in the same house, under the same roof, ain't speaking to each other because you support over here and you support over there. That's sad. That is sad. We too small for this, brother. We are too divided as a nation. You understand? A house divided can never stand. You understand? We need unity. United we stand, divided we fall. We need unity. And that should be the clarion call to one and all. Anguilla is a country that we love. and we brag and boast about how we love her. Country just turned 59 years recently. And when you look at from whence we came to where we are, we have plenty to be proud of. But we could have been further. Along the line, we see where a lot of different things are stifling us, stifling the growth and the progress. Greed. Greed. We are allowing greed to succeed. And that is what's crippling this nation. Greed. I thought it used to be you for me and I for you. But those good words, we don't hear them anymore. It's all for himself.
Qualification time gone.
Right. That is sad. So that is, in a nutshell, what I wanted to say. I just want to say again, thanks to the viewers. Thank you all so much for taking time and listening to our discussion. You might agree with some of what we say. You might disagree with some of what we say. But as I alluded to, it's all about agreeing to disagree or disagree to agree. Because we all want the best for Anguilla. Okay? We all want the best for our lovely island, Anguilla. And Mr. Juan, thank you so much for expounding and elaborating emphatically on some of the facts. That is out there. Holding the government of the day, their feet to the fire, holding them accountable. Because as you often say, when you say these things, you say you could challenge me on that. Because you know you're dealing factual.
Yep.
Understand?
And as Brother Rob will say, just come clean. That's it.
So on that note there, Vanya, I want to hope that the Spurs could be doing what I want them to do tonight. Vanya, do you think that basketball is rigged?
Well, I'm gonna get out.
To an extent, yeah. But I was the one make money.
That is the truth, dear Harold. I think a lot of people are saying now that it's rigged. You know, they're seeing some of the games going down to 1 point and all of that. You know, I think West Indies is supposed to be playing against Sri Lanka tonight too. So, you know, lots of sports. I'm a sports enthusiast. I'm a sports fanatic. I love sports. And I know, Vanya, you also love your sports as well. So I'm going to retire for the night here and go and watch some sports. What's the score now, Vanya?
I don't know. I tried to get out and go because my phone is trying to...
Harold, again, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Harold, for being there. As always, any final comments, Harold?
Thank you all for comrades for being back on the air to serve the people of Anguilla, which is we are so delighted in doing so. And I wish we would be able to give the general public an indication of what we would have the week that will be coming up. I hope that we'll be able to line up our ducks so that the viewers will have a knowledge and indication who we hope to have in the upcoming weekend.
Right. Well, tonight
Yeah.
we dealt with current affairs that's happening in the country. So, you know, and that is something that we will continue to do. You know, looking at the current affairs. You know, this show on radio is not a political propaganda. It's not a political show. I just wanted to know that. It's not. I keep saying that. And a lady met me the other day. She said, well, Chelo, you say it's not a political show, but y'all talk about politics sometimes. I said, current affairs. I said to her, current affairs. If you're speaking to current affairs, then the political part of it can come right in there. She said, oh, okay, I agree then. She said, I thought that the show is just about politics in and out all the time. I said, no. Current affairs is when we're going to talk and discuss politics, current affairs. I said, this show is open to the ordinary person, the layman, and the ordinary person out there who wants to join in on the show, who wants to speak, because inclusively, collectively, it can take the cooperation of all of us to work together in unison to continue to build this nation. You understand? So this program is open to one and all. Always feel free. You can contact me, or you can contact Harold, or you can contact Mr. Harrigan Vanya. And we'll be delighted to have you on the show. All right? So take care. Have yourselves a good night and have a good weekend. Melo Saludo for us on behalf of Vanya and Harold saying good night.
In your face. In your face. In your face. What may not like you? In your face, in your face, in your face, in your face. In your face, Island vibes, we bring it true to light night. Turn up the sound, let the people unite. From the heart of the we